Every animal that comes in, I'm like bound and determined to make sure that it makes it. And I tell my staff and my board, if I ever refuse to take something to the vet, they need to call for my immediate resignation.
Welcome back to Tales of Fluff. I'm AJ.
And I'm Emily. Before we get started, we just wanted to say a massive thank you for helping us reach over 50 subscribers. It doesn't even feel real saying that.
No, it really doesn't. Because it started as a dream a few months ago, and now it's grown into a community over 50 people who enjoy our content. And honestly, we cannot thank you, each and every single one of you, enough. Because it's wild to think. It's 50 people that don't know us, and we don't know them, but yet we share something in common, our love for animals. And we built this channel completely from scratch, with hardly any friends and family watching at first, and it's just been mostly strangers who love animals just like us.
But now it feels like we are a community because we all share the same love for animals. That's why you're here. And that's what makes it so special. And we've got a lot coming up, everything from a horse rescue, a dog trainer, a small animal vet, even an animal shelter that has tiny homes for its rescues, which you might have already seen floating around on social media. And there's so much more.
And we're so excited to share those future episodes with you. And also, thank you for being patient with us as we release the full episodes. It's basically a one person editing team over here, but we promise it's worth the wait.
Absolutely. And to celebrate, our dogs are getting extra treats and a little shout out here because without them, Tales of Fluff wouldn't even exist. They, along with our bunny, who sadly passed away last year, are what inspired us to create this space to highlight the people who dedicate their lives to caring for animals. And this is just the beginning. We can't wait to keep sharing the incredible stories and inspiring people we've been so grateful to interview.
So, once again, thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here and supporting this channel. It just means a lot to us. You don't see it, but every time we get one subscriber on YouTube, we just cheer and start dancing. It's a sight to see. And we don't ask for likes, shares, or even subscribers in our videos. But if you know someone who would enjoy our content, please spread the word. The more people who see this channel, the more people can truly understand and appreciate the hardworking individuals who dedicate their lives to caring for the animals we love so much.
And now, speaking of incredible experiences and inspiring stories,
Today we're diving into a journey that started in a basement with just 20 fish tanks and now grew into a full adoption center with staff and volunteers.
we're talking about J&R Aquatic Animal Rescue, where the animals aren't dogs and cats, but reptiles, fish, small animals, even alligators, right in Wisconsin.
And one very special turtle named Francis, who reminded everyone what rescue is really about. We had the privilege of talking with John, the owner of J&R Aquatic Animal Rescue. So we started at the beginning. When did J&R Aquatic Animal Rescue first open, and what inspired that mission?
Yeah, we started in officially in 2020, but the seeds of this idea were planted much earlier. I've worked in the pet industry since 1994, and my educational background is in natural resources. So that intersection between pets and the environment has always stuck with me, especially when it comes to people releasing their pets into the wild. In 2016, I was the president of the Green Bay Aquarium Society, and I sat down with Tim Campbell from UW-Sea Grant, and we started brainstorming why people release their pets and how we can help. At the time, there weren't a lot of resources for exotic animals like fish. With the Green Bay Aquarium Society, we launched an exotic pet surrender network where people could contact us with a pet, like no matter what it was, and we would help. Like, for example, if you had a fish that you couldn't take care of anymore, you would contact us. And then I had a list of our society members, and I would email them and we would take it. If you had something that wasn't a fish, I had a list of other rescues, pet stores, that kind of thing. So, like, no matter what, we would be able to help. That year, too, we started our exotic pet surrender events where you could bring your animal and surrender it in a safe space. So the first year that we did it, it was just us and like a Steve Keller, the snake guy. So we were just taking fish and snakes. That was it. And somebody showed up an hour early with 2 cats. So after that first rescue or surrender event, we really branched out and we started inviting other rescues, clubs, and that sort of thing. So that way, no matter what kind of animal that you dropped off, there would be help for it. And we did 2 events a year back in 2016, and they've grown exponentially. Like we actually have 43 planned for 2026. So that's how we got started. In 2020, I decided to start J&R Aquatic Animal Rescue to focus on that because that's what my background was. And I started out in my basement with about 20 fish tanks. And within 2 years, we had outgrown my basement and we moved into a facility where we have an adoption center that's open to the public and people can come visit the animals. We have paid staff, we have volunteers. So it's grown to like a really big operation, necessity.
That was amazing to hear how it all started. From noticing a problem, people releasing pets into the wild, and then deciding to actually do something about it.
Exactly. In those surrender events, they gave people a safe, judgment-free way to say, I love this animal, but I cannot keep them. That kind of compassion really changes everything.
So, with such an awesome start, which led into an incredible rescue, we wanted to know, what does a typical day look like at J&R?
The minute I open my eyes, I start answering emails, reviewing adoption applications, scheduling all the stuff for social media. Because like we post 2 different animals a day that are up for adoption, as well as updates and things like that. Then I go to the rescue. The first thing we do, no, not just me, but all of our employees and volunteers. The first thing we do every morning is check on the animals. So we do a quick health assessment, administer meds, make sure everybody has food, working lights, and enrichment. Then we go over the schedule, assign tasks to the team, and then we get to work. So that's like cleaning, helping people that are coming in to adopt animals, accepting new animals, grocery runs, taking animals to the vet. And we have an education division that does like library programs. So they're super active too. It's a little chaotic and it's definitely nonstop. It takes a village. And I am so lucky that I have such a great team of people that work for J&R Aquatic Animal Rescue.
You know, I absolutely love the fact that the very first thing they do each morning is health checks, making sure the lights, the heat, food, and enrichments are all in place. The care of the animals is priority just as it should be.
And on top of that, they're not just rescuing, they're educating the public. This just shows the rescue isn't only changing lives inside the facility, but outside of it too.
And that kind of reach matters to make sure that pets can have the best life possible. Now, with rescue work, it often comes with tough moments, where upon arrival, there may be wonders if the animal will make it. So, we had to ask John if he had experiences like this.
Not that really comes to mind. I'm super optimistic. So every animal that comes in, I'm like bound and determined to make sure that it makes it. So I can't say I've ever really been surprised. The kind of animals that we work with, reptiles, fish, birds, small animals, they can take a lot of abuse and just keep on trucking. We have a great veterinary team that we work very closely with just to make sure that everybody is happy and healthy. And we also have a policy that if somebody surrenders a pet and they tell you that there's a health problem, we have 24 hours to contact the vet. If we notice something, whether it's a volunteer or a paid employee, if you notice something that doesn't seem right, contact the vet immediately. You have 24 hours to contact the vet. And I tell my staff and my board, if I ever refuse to take something to the vet, they need to call for my immediate resignation, because that's like the most important thing that we can do is make sure that everybody's healthy.
What stood out to me was the absolute commitment. If there's ever a concern, the vet gets called. No excuses, no delays.
That's a standard every rescue could model. It says that every single life matters, whether it's a turtle or a rat.
Then came the impactful story of Francis, the Malaysian giant river turtle.
Yeah, I'm a crybaby by nature. This is like a really tough job just because people are upset when they drop stuff off, but also we're upset when we have to adopt things out, even though it's like a happy ending. We still miss them. The one that stands out the most is Francis, the Malaysian giant river turtle. He was surrendered after his owners passed away, and their daughter brought him to us. When she said that she had a Malaysian giant river turtle, I didn't believe her because I looked it up and I couldn't find any in captivity. I couldn't find any care guides on them. I couldn't find any for sale. So I thought that it was maybe like a misidentification. Like it was just like a different kind of turtle, like a Malaysian box turtle or something. But it was legit. Like she had a Malaysian giant river turtle named Francis. And in talking with her, it was her mom's dying wish that Francis go to a sanctuary or a zoo where he could live outside for the rest of his life, not stuck in some guy's basement, pun intended, because that's me. Like our goal from the very beginning was to find him a home where he could live outside in the sun. He really wasn't in that great of shape. When he got dropped off, his owners were in very poor health, so they couldn't really do his upkeep. Like his shell had a buildup of calculus on it. You ever see those videos where the dentist is like picking the junk off people's teeth? It was like that, but on his shell. And he was really weak. He couldn't really swim that good. So we really had to work with him a lot. We gave him like physical therapy, tried to build up muscle. And we eventually moved him into my living room, had a big fish tank in it, like a big 200-gallon fish tank. So we moved him into that once he could stand a little bit deeper water. And my daughter got super attached to him. She was a toddler at the time. And she would, every night, she'd go up to the fish tank and give it a hug and a kiss, and then say goodnight to Francis. And eventually, once we got him healthy enough to transport, we reached out to our friends at the Wildlife Exploration Foundation in Florida. And they had a pond already set up for him where he could like just live in the sun, which is so important for reptiles to have access to natural sunlight. And yeah, we flew him out to Florida, and we still get updates from the Wildlife Exploration Foundation. And we passed them along to the families that surrendered them to us. But yeah, that was a tough one because he really became part of the family with as much work as we had to put into him, with as much work as we had to find him a good home. Because a lot of people came out of the woodwork when we found out that we had him, that wanted him. They just wanted him. And a lot of them didn't apply. The ones that did apply to adopt him couldn't provide what we were looking for. So we were really lucky that the Wildlife Exploration Foundation reached out when they did, because that is like the best, most perfect home for Francis.
Hearing how weak he was, and then picturing him regaining strength in a 200-gallon tank at home, that's what a true rescue looks like. John didn't hesitate. He made sure Francis was cared for and ultimately went to an amazing place where he could happily live his life out in the sun just as his former owners wanted.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing, how John honored the original owner's wish that Francis live outside in the sun. And what better place for the sun than Florida? And that's what makes this story so moving. Rescue isn't just about helping the animals and putting them in a home. It's also about keeping promises to the people who love them.
That really shows how much John loves what he does, and that he does it with empathy and compassion. So, next we wanted to know, with so many unique animals, was there ever one that changed the way he thought about rescue work?
So I can't really narrow it down to one, but around like really quickly in doing this, like around my third or fourth animal, I realized that surrendering a pet doesn't mean that someone doesn't care. I went into this thinking that mostly we'd be helping people who were in over their heads and didn't know what they were doing, or just they were sick of having to clean their kids' reptile cage or clean their kids' fish tank. So they just wanted to get rid of them. But time and again, it's honestly, it's people that love their pets deeply, but are going through something. Like a lot of it is like moving and they can't bring them with, or their landlord changed and they can't keep their animal. Divorce, eviction, health issue. We got a lot of people who passed. We started in 2020. We had a lot of people that passed away in the pandemic that we wound up with their pets. So they're really doing the responsible thing when they seek help. And that really reshaped how I think about this line of work.
And the answer was less about one animal and more realizing surrender doesn't equal neglect. And I think that was such a great point to bring out. It's so common to relate rescue work with neglected animals or animals that weren't loved, but rescue work also involves people surrendering their loved pets due to unexpected circumstances.
Right, and that brings me back to Francis the turtle mentioned earlier. He was loved, but due to unfortunate circumstances, he was surrendered. And because he was loved, the family still even gets updates from him. So it just shows what rescuing animals really looks like. And a lot of people surrendering pets love them deeply. They just can't keep them. That reminder really shapes how you see rescue work.
It really does. And then our conversation went into talking about surprises, like alligators in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm really not that sure. Just because, like I said, we take a lot of the pet store type animals. I would think that what people don't really see is how often we go to the vet. I feel like a lot of the animals that we see, people just write off. It's just a fish, it's just a lizard, it's just a rat. But here I am spending $300 a week bringing rats to their vet appointments. So I think that's what a lot of people don't really see, especially with the kind of animals that we work with, is that like how much really goes into keeping these animals happy and healthy. Francis was probably the rarest thing that we ever got, but it's got to be alligators. So we're in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin doesn't have any statewide exotic animal laws. So you can buy alligators online, or there's tourist traps in the Wisconsin Dells where you can get them for like a couple $100. And most of the ones that we get in are from people who end up in jail for unrelated reasons, like reasons not related to alligators, and they can't care for them anymore. The thing that makes them hard to handle is, other than the teeth and tail, is that we don't adopt those out to private individuals. We only adopt them out to zoos and sanctuaries and like nature centers. And it's really hard to find those places that are accepting alligators, just because, like I said, they're like a couple $100 and people get them and then they get rid of them. So that's probably the animal that we get in most frequently that's hard to handle. And we've taken in a good dozen or so crocodilians. We had one caiman and the rest are alligators.
It's crazy to hear. You can literally buy one online or a tourist trap in Wisconsin. That's just unbelievable, and honestly kind of scary how accessible they are. But hearing the rescue only adopts them to zoos and sanctuaries is exactly where they should be. Just because you can buy doesn't mean you should.
Couldn't agree more. I was just as surprised to hear that. So, since John works with small pets, including fish, we wanted to know what's one myth about small pets that he wished more people understood.
Oh, yeah, that it's just a fish. It's really not. Every animal deserves proper care and respect. Fish can feel stress and pain, and they depend on us just like any other pet. So I feel like that's probably the biggest myth about fish or aquatic pets, is that they're lesser than.
John really drove home something important. A fish isn't just a fish, every pet is a commitment. And at the end of the day, every pet deserves care and respect. So, next we went into what it's like to care for small animals. And we asked John, what are some of the unique challenges that comes with rehabilitating small animals?
So small animals like rodents or reptiles, they can mask their symptoms very well. So by the time they show signs of illness, sometimes it's too late. They also need specific care like temperature, humidity, diet. And a lot of people don't realize how complex that can be. And plus, it can be hard to find adopters willing to commit to animals people often see as starter pets. We get like a lot of the real, I don't like the term starter pet. I always get the pet that you want forever, not just one to get you going. But we get like a lot of leopard geckos, a lot of bearded dragons, a lot of ball pythons. And the people that are super into those kinds of animals don't want to adopt ones that are like older or unknown bloodlines or pet store varieties. So that can get frustrating.
What John mentioned made sense. And what stood out was that a lot of people think because these pets often are so small that their care is easy. But as John mentioned, their care can actually be quite complex. So it's very important to understand the pet's care fully before adopting the pet. So because John has done such an awesome job with finding forever homes for small animals, we wanted to know, what advice would he give to someone thinking of adopting a small pet?
Research their lifespan, do your homework. So they're small, but their care isn't necessarily simple. Like rabbits need a lot of space and a lot of enrichment. Rats are social, they need companions. They're not super low maintenance or disposable. And make sure you're ready for the commitment and the time of the lifespan. Talking about rats live a very short period of time, 3 to 5 years, as compared to a leopard gecko, which is like 15 to 20 years. So if you want a pet that you're not going to have to take care of after your kid goes to college, you have to think about those kind of things when you're getting ready to make that commitment.
Research the lifespan and do your homework. Such simple and yet important advice. Now, with our next question, we wanted to change it up. We know working with animals, each one has their own personality, and sometimes animals can be silly. So, we asked John if he could tell us about a funny moment he has experienced caring for animals.
So when we first moved to our location, we had a cage that somebody dropped off and it was built for iguanas. And we stuck our Tegu Servos in it and he could open it. He knew how to open it. So we would have to pile like big buckets of gravel in front of the door so he couldn't open it. And he knew our schedule. Like he knew when we closed. So he would break out as soon as like the lights went off and he knew we were gone. I remember one time I turned off the lights and I realized I had to do something. So I started working and he comes like walking around the corner and he was just as surprised to see me as I was to see him. And he would just break out and he would just like amble around. He's super friendly and not dangerous. So I would never have to worry about him. But he would just go and sit in the sun in the front window and have a good old time while we were gone. And we'd find him in the morning, usually lodged under a bookshelf or something like that. And we'd have to tease him out with a rat, like a frozen rat.
The matter of fact, he would wait until the lights were out and then escape is really smart. And the part where he thought John was gone, but then got surprised was just hilarious.
Yeah, it was. He knew the schedule. He waited for closing time and went straight to the sunbeam in front of the window. Definitely smart.
Yes, and if right now you're thinking this is something you'd be interested in getting into, our final question is for you. We asked John what advice would he give to someone wanting to work with animals the way he does?
To get your hands dirty as soon as you can, whether that's volunteering at a rescue or working at a pet store, volunteering at a zoo. That's the best advice I can give. It's a lot of fun, but it's not exactly glamorous. There's a lot of poop, there's cleaning, there's heartbreak, but you really love it at the end of the day. And the second piece of advice would be to never stop learning. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've seen trends come and go, and every single day I learn something new about the animals in our care. Even the ones that are like super common, like leopard geckos and betas and things like that. I still learn something new every day.
The advice is clear. Get your hands dirty, expect hard work, and never stop learning.
Even after decades, every day brings something new to discover.
Today's story reminded us that rescue doesn't just belong to cats and dogs. Fish, reptiles, small mammals, even the smallest lives deserve the same respect, care, and chance at a future.
And sometimes the most extraordinary rescues start in the most ordinary places. A basement full of fish tanks, a daughter kissing a turtle goodnight, a team showing up every day to check lights and food and making sure every animal has exactly what they need.
A huge thank you to John from J&R Aquatic Animal Rescue for taking the time to join us to talk about the incredible work he is doing to help even the tiniest of pets. And if this episode inspired you, take a moment today to see the little lives around you, whether it's giving your pet some extra care or simply appreciating that no animal is ever insignificant, no matter how big or how small.
Until next time, remember, every life, no matter the size, has value.